like all week. The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Woo! Two guys of the Attitude Era. The impact of Austin 316 at the break of the 1996 King of the Ring. Undertaker coming in, winning the title against Hogan. Survivor Series intro lives with me forever. Like seeing all the kids being scared at that time. Because, at that time we didn't know wrestling was like legitimate, like a work and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be. But Paul Bearer coming in with him and actually seeing kids scared. With the Undertaker and their legendary careers, and then you got Austin, the rise of Austin 316, him and Bret Hart, you want to say Shawn Michaels, whatever the case may be, the Attitude Era, Stone Cold Steve Austin is that. Like that's the birthplace of Austin. That's the everything of Austin, the everything of all, like Austin 316, the Attitude Era. What do you guys think here in this tough matchup?
I want to go first.
Yeah, Louis, you go first. Yeah.
I don't know. This has to be the hardest matchup.
This is our childhood right here.
These are literally the two people. When you say wrestling, you either think The Undertaker or you think it's Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. You either roll your eyes back or you give somebody the finger and give them a stunner. And it's so crazy because I've literally fans of both. Like, I was a huge Brothers of Destruction, American Badass. The motorcycle was the fucking coolest thing. The whole fucking kidnapping Stephanie, even Vince was behind it the whole time. Like, so many storylines. But it's so hard because I don't know. How do you look at it? You either look at it by title reigns. Impact, I honestly think is on like the same level because, like I just said, literally the two people you think about in wrestling. I don't know. I know Austin's career, obviously, cut short probably more due to health issues. But Taker's, I think, staying too long is what deters it a little bit for me. I don't know. I don't even know if you count that in, but I'm not gonna lie. I am leaning more towards Austin, but I know people that are gonna be like, "How can you say that? It's Undertaker, the streak, and everything." And it's just like, and yes, the man reinvented himself literally like every 10 years, and it like worked, and but it's a really hard choice. I honestly don't have a clear choice. I don't know. We'll discuss it more. Maybe I'll have
need an answer, clarity. Lewis. Who are you going with? Are you going with the fourth?
Do you need it right now?
The Undertaker?
Do you need it right at this second? Do you need it at this second?
Are we going number 5? Stone Cold Steve Austin. We need a pick.
You still want to think on it?
Yeah, I'm gonna think on it.
All right.
I gotta hear your aspects.
All right. Since this matchup was announced last week, I've been thinking all week about this. I've been thinking about the careers of both men. I reached out to my older brother and godbrother about it. They gave me some interesting insight. We're talking about comparing the biggest box office draw in wrestling history versus the greatest character in wrestling history. And when you look at both of their careers, you look at, everything with Stone Cold, the catchphrases, the title reigns, like they said, the middle finger, the stunner. The man saved the WWF against WCW when the WWE was beginning to go under. He's that character.
Taker didn't save us.
And began the Attitude Era. Within that era, we see the Undertaker, Ministry of Darkness, which I arguably believe is his best theme song. Some people don't agree, but I think that's his best theme, that Ministry theme.
No.
But
no.
I gotta watch. I gotta watch King of the Ring 1999 again. I gotta watch that again.
But
yeah, I gotta watch that again.
But when I
Dead man walking all day.
But yeah, but then I thought about something. You guys remember that documentary that WWE did on The Undertaker, that the last ride, that like the WWE's version of The Last Dance, that thing they did on The Undertaker? I remember the first episode when they showed like the highlights of all his career and how he, after WrestleMania 26, he went from a full-timer to a part-timer, and seeing like the behind the scenes, like after the match with Shane, and like, this man, like everything that he put his body through, because to go from wrestling every week to then going wrestling once a year, it really is difficult on the body, and you can see that within that documentary. But no matter what, he's still going out there and put on the best performance that he could put on. And when you look at longevity, like Lewis, you just said it, and even though that's what people mentioned, the streak. I mean, before it got conquered, the streak was something to look forward to every year at WrestleMania. You didn't know you didn't know who was gonna step up and be the one. I mean, look at the matches with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Had you at the edge of your seat because of the streak. And then ultimately, with the longevity and with the greatest character. And Lewis, you're right there. Impact is both on the same level. Ultimately, you gotta go with Undertaker. you gotta go with the Undertaker.
All right. I thought about this for a long time. Of course, over the course of the week when we got this matchup, and I was just thinking about Austin's run and how that boom was. We haven't heard pops like that since. We haven't been in venues like that since. And when you think about his run from 96 to 2001, he was constantly on top. He was the main guy who had the ability to get other guys over. You think about these guys interacting in 98 in terms of the big match at SummerSlam. At that point in time, we already knew what Undertaker was 10 years in, roughly 10 years in, going to Highway to Hell. I still remember that poster. That's one of my favorite pay-per-views all time. These guys going head-to-head and then, of course, getting the Brothers of Destruction after that. That team up with the corporation and all that. 98 was a great year. These guys are synonymous with that. Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you want to talk about his WCW work with Brian Pillman, Stunning Steve Austin, the Hollywood Blondes, going in that direction. Both these guys fired from WCW, right? Kicked to the curb. And you just think about Austin and his reign, and that basically gave a boom to everybody in wrestling, right? Austin and the WCW wars, of course, we wouldn't have gotten the Monday Night Wars without Stone Cold Steve Austin. We wouldn't have gotten that. And when you think about Bret Hart and Shawn trying to carry that, it didn't click. It didn't click until Austin came in. So we could be looking at a very, 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 very wrestling empire if it wasn't for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Black trunks, black braces, black boots, profanity personified, middle fingers, can of whoop ass, Jim Ross on the call. All of that goes into Stone Cold Steve Austin. But with that said, I have to go with The Undertaker for many, many reasons. One, his gimmick, his ability to change it on the fly like that when many iterations. I think the only one that didn't work was like the 1994 gimmick. And I think he had like I think in 96 he had a weird gimmick.
Purple mask.
But like other than that, Undertaker. Yeah, the purple mask. Yeah. I think it was at Survivor Series 96. He came in with that crap. But when you think about Undertaker, the ability to the streak, I got to talk about the streak. You talk about all the people that he's beaten in that streak before it was ruined by WWE, bad booking. The amount of people that he's touched in the business, right? Like this is a guy who's wrestled Hogan. He's wrestled Ric Flair. He's wrestled Triple H. He's wrestled The Rock. He's wrestled Chris Jericho. He's wrestled CM Punk. He's wrestled, even to his last match, AJ Styles, right? Like he's touched so many different factors of wrestling and has been able to be The Undertaker. like The Undertaker is something that you wait to see all the time. And I guess this is kind of similar to me in the terms of Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. In terms of if Stone Cold Steve Austin's career wasn't cut short, if it went a couple more years and 5 years, this probably would be a different answer from me, just because the impact of Austin's 5-year run basically saved the WWF. But when you think about The Undertaker, and then you think about the Ministry of Darkness, you think about all of that craziness that was happening in 98, 99, that's some of his best work. The ability to go to the American Badass and do that whole angle. And then you think about the matches with Jeff Hardy on Raw. He wrestled Jeff Hardy, goddammit. and to have that impact of there, and again, he turned around in that, and I think it was, what was that? 2002 range. He wrestled Hulk Hogan again for the championship. So you just think about Undertaker and his ability to touch different areas of wrestling. Tag team wrestling with Kane, Big Show. That was his reign as well as in that. So it's like just thinking about the Undertaker's longevity, the ability to touch different eras, even today's era. Like AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers. He's wrestled him. Unfortunately, Stone Cold's in 2003. hey, the best cinema match.
Did he really wrestle him, or was it
best scenario for his last match though? Because if they had done it live, it would not have looked as good.
Okay, this is why it's like, and yes, and I understand why Taker. But it literally is because of the longevity.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I feel like just from Steve's shorter time was still just a massive impact. Like this was literally the man who made you believe that you could beat the crap out of your boss and come to work the next day. Like he had so I feel like I won't say every, obviously, but I feel like every feud he got into was just like top tier, and yeah. But like you said, Taker has wrestled everybody. But
he's had. Let me just say this right now: Undertaker has had some stinkers. He has had some stinkers. All right. He's had some stinkers. Like there has been some duds.
Yeah.
When you think about Stone Cold Steve Austin, you can't really think of a dud.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I get why Taker would take it. But it's like, how do you compare, the longer career to the shorter career with the massive impact, And like you said, the feud with Rock is huge. All the shit with Vince, everything, the WCW stuff, the invasion, like all that stuff, like huge. And, he had his, it sucks that, the pile driver, he broke his neck, and then his knees and everything. It's just like, and like you said, if we would have got more Steve Austin, how he was literally on top that entire time he was there. From the stuff he did with Mike Tyson, the DX and everything. It was just like,
blowing up the DX bus.
He was the badass you rooted for it. Even when he was a heel, you're like, no, this man can't be a heel. And you're like, shit, he is a heel, but he's still fucking badass. Like, will stunner anybody, any moment, anytime. I don't know.
It's tough.
I think
it really is tough. Now, when you this took me a full week to actually look at both of their careers. Especially when you talk about impact, both of them have a lasting legacy in WWE history. When you think about the two, these are the two guys that you first think about. So you can't go wrong with either one of them. But for me, you got to go with the Undertaker.
I'm gonna stick with my answer. I'm going Steve Austin, even though he's losing. I'm still going Steve Austin.
You got me thinking about my answer there, though.
Yes.
You the man.
Because the impact of Stone Cold Steve Austin is the reason why wrestling is the way it is today. And when you think about wrestling in the modern era after Hulk Hogan and stuff like that, no one has been able to touch those levels still to this day. As great as John Cena was, he wasn't able to touch that level. As great as Roman Reigns is today, he's not able to touch this level. Everyone after that era was basically living in the shadow of Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? And even to a certain degree, The Undertaker, right? And
People are
Undertaker's
still
the guy
to this day.
like the Undertaker was the guy that didn't need the belt, right? Like you can kind of put him in the card and put him anywhere. Stone Cold usually always had the belt, and there was a reason why. He was the guy, right? Like even going up against the Undertaker wasn't that guy at that time. Like even though, like you know what I mean, as unfortunate as that is, and I love the Undertaker, but you just think about the impact of both these guys, like the gong hitting on the Undertaker song, the glass shattering on Stone Cold Steve Austin song. Both of them have gravitational impact of how you feel when a match is about to happen. The anticipation when these guys come out, both of them are personified. And Stone Cold Steve Austin got the louder pop. Undertaker has the longevity, and this one is really tough. Damn, I thought it was clear cut the Undertaker. For me, I really thought.
And I get it because of the longevity, but like I feel like Austin's impact was just, huge. And mind you, I was a big American Badass fan. Like I thought that was the fucking greatest change, and that was so needed for when SmackDown was popping off like that and everything. And it was just like, and then for him
when you really
to
think about that, because they weren't even sure that was going to work.
No,
so when you talk about behind the scenes stuff like that, just like Austin's thing with the heel turn, which people crap on and stuff like that, I loved it. Like during that invasion angle, like I loved it because Austin did have ties to WCW. He was the man in W. Like he was never that guy, but to change on, and that was part of the McMahon era too, right? Like that was the feud with McMahon and stuff like that. So that continued and stuff like that. So it's just like, I don't know, man. This is tough because again, you always think about the impact. You think about the stunner. I don't think of 5-star classic matches when I come to Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? You just knew somebody was going to come in there and get the ass whipped, right? But with the Undertaker, he did have the ability to have great matches with a lot of people, and that's the one thing that I'll have to look at the difference between these two, right? Like if I'm gonna go with impact and everything that goes with it, Undertaker's longevity versus Stone Cold Steve Austin's impact, the one thing that separates it from me is probably going to be the in-ring work, right? And that's not saying Stone Cold Steve Austin couldn't wrestle and do his thing. The levels that Undertaker was going, you think about the changes of that, the ability to work with smaller guys. Him and Shawn Michaels, that ability to work, not everybody's able to do that as a big guy. Like, I think that's more impressive. His ability to work with Kurt Angle, his ability to work with Brock Lesnar, his ability to work with just about anybody, right? Like, that's the ability of The Undertaker, which I think I'm going to lean here and go with The Undertaker, because if it's the last thing that is there, of course, we wouldn't be here without Stone Cold Steve Austin for WWF, especially me being a WWF fan. I would not be here without Stone Cold Steve Austin impact. Him doing everything that he did, putting his body on the line, honestly. But when you look at The Undertaker, the last thing that's going to come to me that's really a big thing in all these matches and all these matchups that we talk about is in-ring work. Is in-ring work. And in that case, I got to go with The Undertaker because I still remember his 2004 No Way Out match with Kurt Angle, which Kurt Angle says that was supposed to end and all that and stuff like that. And that's a rumor that was out there. That's one of the best matches I've ever seen. And that was Undertaker, big, going up against a smaller man, Kurt Angle, who's probably one of the best wrestlers. We go into the feuds with, you think about on one side, Stone Cold Steve Austin going into those feuds with The Rock. That's 3 times that's happened. But Undertaker was able to have 2 matches with Shawn Michaels that is probably the best matches of all time and 2 of the best performers of all time. So when you think about that, and just the in-ring work for me is going to be the thing that separates here. I got to go The Undertaker.
What was the rumor you said with him and Angle? You cut out.
Kurt Angle. So in 2004, Kurt Angle was the champion, right? And then was it after? Yeah, it was 2004, and I think the Royal Rumble, Kurt Angle beat Mark Henry. Undertaker came out and shocked the ring, and the ring broke, and that was the setup.
Yeah. It wasn't 04, that was 06. This is 06 you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. My bad. 06,
because I remember that. That was WrestleMania 22.
Yeah, so 06, right? So No Way Out 2006, they have a match. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen. Kurt Angle rumoredly said, hey, that was supposed to end the streak. He was like, they were supposed to do it at WrestleMania, but because of everything else that happened during that year and stuff like that, they kind of switched course a little bit. He said that was supposed to be the end of the streak. And think about that. That's 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's one of the best matches I've ever seen. And I don't even think they wrestled again because Kurt Angle left in the summertime of the 06, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So they never even got to wrestle again. But that's one of the best matches I've ever seen, especially if a big guy versus a little guy. But yeah, in ring ability, I gotta go Undertaker. The ability to just work with anybody, just that's gonna be the caveat for me. Like just to do that, like I gotta go the Undertaker, man.
Mm-hmm.
Respect it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one, man.
Yeah.
You really can't go wrong with either one for this match.
But we must have a winner, man.